Welcome to the Holistic Health Call, providing practical and science-based solutions to improving your health and feeling your best. The following discussion is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. Please do not apply any of this information without first speaking with your doctor. To stay up to date on the latest topics as well as all of our prior episodes, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and share these videos with family and friends. Now, let's head to the show.
Hi, I'm Dr. Catalano, a functional and holistic medical doctor here in beautiful Little Falls, New Jersey. And I'm here today with Ray Vasquez, a personal trainer and health coach. And we're going to talk a little bit about exercise and building muscle and strength. Ray, again, I'm in the gym all the time. I've been in gyms for many years. I'm a gym rat and I like to work out, get strong and build muscle. But I see a lot of people, who really kind of flounder, don't know really, what the proper way to do that is. And now we have science behind it, right? I mean, we have a lot of knowledge about how to do it. And, years ago, it was trial and error. People said, well, whatever works for you, but we do have some guidelines now. So what's relevant today? What's the science telling us about how to exercise properly, gain some lean muscle, and stay strong?
So some of the things that you want to keep in mind is you basically want to be in the 8 to 12 rep range when you're lifting weights. If you're doing like 1 rep max, 2 or 3 reps, that's more for like powerlifting.
Okay.
And that's not really to build muscle, that's just pure strength training. And if you're doing 25 reps, that's more for like strength endurance, that's more like for toning. That's not really, you're not really building muscle there. So you want to keep it in general. I mean, you can go, if you're using cables and things like that, you can go higher, 12 to 15 reps. If you're doing a compound movement, let's say bench press, squat, you can even go as low as like 6 to 8 reps.
Things for the bigger muscles,
for bigger muscles, legs, back, chest, things like that. I wouldn't recommend that for like arms,
right?
Smaller muscles, shoulders, like anything like side raises. I wouldn't recommend like 6 to 8 reps. But so that's number one. Number two is, in general, keep your rest, 30 to 60 seconds rest. The power lifters, yes, they do a longer rest period because they're doing heavy lifts, 2 to 3 repetitions, maybe up to 5. So that I can see that. But if you're doing, let's say, a bicep exercise, and you do your 10 to 12 reps or whatever, rest 30 to 60 seconds. Now, if you're doing bench press and let's say you did a heavy 6 reps, then I could see you taking 2 minutes, a little longer. So that's fine. Make sure you at least do 1 compound movement per body part, and what I mean compound, like squats, bench press, barbell row, things like that. You want to make sure to include, a lot of, while cable and machines are good, that should not be the overall workout. That should be just part of it, but you definitely have to include you got to do some heavy lifting. And then also progressive overload is always, you got to make sure that you're always trying to push. Let's say you can do a set and you did 12 reps and it wasn't that hard, then that means you need to go heavier. You're always pushing. Now, you get to the point where all of a sudden this weight you can't even do 6 with, so then that's too heavy. So you want to make sure you're sticking within that 8 to 12 rep range.
And sometimes you could, if you reach that plateau, right, you can change the exercise. So like if you've been doing, let's say a certain type of leg press,
right,
and you're adding weight each time, maybe even if it's just 10, 15 pounds, like you said, just overloading, or a couple of reps, but then you get to a point where, like you said, you can't, so maybe the leg press, you put it on the side for a while and you do maybe a different type of leg press
squat
or a hack squat,
right,
and then you build up that for a few months, and then sometimes you go back to the leg press and you can build up.
Exactly.
So I think people don't understand that you have to progress in order to gain muscle and strength, even if it's just a little bit, because
Yes.
our bodies are great accommodators, right? They want to reach this equilibrium.
Right.
So if you keep doing the same thing, if you keep curling the same 20-pound dumbbell month after month, and you see the guys in the gym they're doing the same thing, month after month, that is gonna say, well, this is normal for me.
Right.
If that was the case,
I don't need to grow.
like a bowler would have the right arm that a bowler uses would be huge, right?
Right.
They're lifting this 16-pound ball all the time, but it doesn't. It looks the same as the other one. So you got to progress, right? I mean, you got to increase, so even if it's just a few pounds.
Without a doubt, you got to keep trying to keep pushing, and like you said, you're gonna get to a point where you can't anymore. But until that point, you got to keep pushing it and keep moving up. And in the beginning is great because you're gonna see those gains quicker,
and then it slows
and then
down.
Eventually it plateaus. But also another good point that you made was stick to the same routine for at least a month. If you're a beginner, 3 months
Even
or
longer,
longer, 6 months, because if you're constantly changing your workout and changing exercise, you're never going to progress. You're not going to know if you've gotten stronger in that exercise. So you want to stick to a certain routine for at least a while, and then when you plateau, like you said, then you can change the exercises, change here and there, change a couple things.
One of the things that again, people don't understand, and one of my mentors in exercise physiology would always say, when people aren't progressing, they go to him and they say, well, what can I do? What more can I do? I'm doing 10 sets of bicep curls with I want to do more. And a lot of times his answer is, you might have to do less. Overtraining sometimes is more detrimental to your progress than overtraining, right? I mean, when you're looking for size and strength, people have to realize you tear down the muscle while you're exercising, but then you need it to rest,
right,
and recover, build a little stronger, and then you hit it again. But if you're hitting it too soon or
or
staying too long,
yeah.
So he would always tell me, you can train hard, but you can't train hard and long. You can train hard and short.
Right.
So keep things, like you said, shorter, more intense, and then get out. And it's not like, they always want to do more, right? Well, what else can I do?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, go take some rest.
Right. Yeah, if you're in the gym for like 2 hours or more, most likely you're taking too long of a rest, or your workouts are not that intense, because if you're hitting it hard, and you should be like within an hour, close, a little bit after, you should be like, oh man, I'm spent, I'm good to go. And then, like you said, give that body part a rest. I personally like to work each body part twice a week.
Okay.
But it all depends
on the person.
how many times a week they're working out. For some people, if you're only working out 2 or 3 times a week, then maybe you have to do like a total body workout, where you're hitting every body part in that one day. If you're working out more like 5 to 6, then you break it up into, I like to break it up into, let's say, back and bis, chest and tris, whatever it is. So there's multiple ways to
change things up.
Change things up. Yeah.
I remember a couple of analogies you used to give me, where it was that, like, if you saw a marathon runner's legs, and then you saw like 100-meter sprinter's legs in the Olympics. I mean, obviously that short, intense work that a sprinter does gives them that muscular legs, calves, even their upper body.
Right.
You see. But when you look at a marathon runner, the guys and girls at the end of the race, they're very slightly built people, and their legs, leg muscles are very, very small because they're overtraining. But I mean, that's what they want to do.
Right.
But they're not. If you would think they're doing so much more, that they would have more muscle, and that's not the case.
No. Yeah, that's a good point. Runners usually, if you're trying to build muscle, running and building muscle do not go together. If you can still do cardio, just keep it to like 15 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week, but you don't want to run 9-10 miles a day, because you're going to be, it's not going to build muscle. It's going to take away from your muscles.
You're going to overtrain.
You're going to overtrain.
Yeah. The other last analogy he used to give me, which made a lot of sense, is that, again, people don't know how much to do. So if you're hitting a nail into a piece of wood, he would always tell me, with a hammer, and you could get it flush to the wood, you know, with six strikes of the hammer.
Right.
Would you keep hammering it 3 or 4 or 5 more times?
No.
What are you going to do? You're going to damage the wood, right?
Right, yeah.
So not only aren't you going to get it any better, the nail in there any better, you're going to damage, you're going to cause more harm. So again, hit it hard and then get out, right?
Exactly. Definitely.
So to finish up, now what about dietary, nutrition as far as gaining muscle? You know, what are we doing? You know, I know there's different varieties of proteins and
Yes.
carbohydrates. So what are you doing with your clients?
Protein is the number one thing for building muscle. So you want to have your protein be like between 1 to 1.5 grams per body weight. You know, lean muscle mass. So so you want to make sure your protein is definitely, you know, you're getting your protein, and then around that, it's up to you how you want to, you know, your carbs and fats. So in general, so carbs, you can go as low as like 40%. You can go as high as 60%. And carbs, from what I've read, you should have them right before most of your carbs right before you work out and right after you work out. So you want to have them before, so you can have the energy to work out, and then you replenish them after your workout, and then you could have them sparingly before and after the rest of your day. But and then fats are very important. I remember we had that craze of no fats. But yeah, your fats are very important. So that should be, I would say, in general, like 15% of your calories should come from fats, healthy fats.
Healthy fats, right?
Yeah, and healthy carbs at the same time too.
Yeah, and we'll get into that and some diet stuff that we're gonna make some other videos on. And, you know, we talked about inflammation last week, so you know we're gonna be making that video on inflammatory foods, and
Right.
some of the bad oils and fats are going to be in there. So just to end, a typical 150-pound male, if you're talking about getting their lean mass, you know, say they're 15-20% body fat.
Right.
So that brings them down to maybe 120, 115 pounds of lean tissue. So, you know, that kind of guy or girl wants about a gram. So that's going to be about 115 grams of protein spread throughout the day.
Right.
To fuel, you know, some weight training. And I guess if they're doing real intense stuff, you know, bodybuilding or even powerlifting, maybe you go to the 1.5 grams. So
Right.
you add a little bit more. And if you're trying maybe to lose weight and still maintain your muscle, maybe you go to 0.8, right?
Exactly.
So you go a little less. And, you know, depending on, you know, if you're healthy, kidney function, things like that, you know, people who have illnesses have to be careful with, you know, overdoing with protein. But so I think those are great guidelines. And,
Yes.
I think, you know, if we can get to the gym or, you know, home workouts or outdoors, there's so many things we can do these days that we don't have to get to the gym. But, I mean, Ray and I like it there. So the matter is just to move,
Yes.
eat right, and get some exercise in. And we'll talk next time a little bit more. Thanks. Thank you for watching and listening to the Holistic House Call. Our goal of these videos is to keep it short and sweet and give you one piece of information that you can use in your daily lifestyle.